Hello and thank you for joining us on the news at 10 on Nta News24. We are live in Abuja and I am Nolin Ebel Ame. First, let's take the headlines. President Tinubu urges Brazilian ambassador to Nigeria to prioritize the establishment of direct flights between Nigeria and Brazil. Vice President Kashim Shettima seeks collaboration between Nigeria and European Union in addressing humanitarian challenges.
You have been a focal person, even in championing humanitarian cause.
House of Representatives threatens to shut down mining site in Edo over operating license.
That these foreign nationals that are running this entity, or whoever they are, appear before the People's Parliament.
Minister of State, Labour and Employment appeals to resident doctors to call off the strike. And here is the news. President Bola Tinubu has urged the newly appointed Brazilian ambassador to Nigeria, Carlos Jose Arias, to prioritize the establishment of direct flights between Nigeria and Brazil. The president made the request while receiving the letter of credence from the Brazilian ambassador. President Tinubu reiterated his discussions with President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil on the matter in February on the margins of the African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The president expressed Nigeria's commitment to working closely with Brazil to strengthen bilateral relations and advance shared priorities, welcoming the country's presidency of the G20 in 2024. In the discussions with President Lula, there was also agreement to energize the economic development of the two countries, looking forward to continuing collaboration. Ambassador Arias said President Lula is looking forward to welcoming President Tinubu to the G20 Leaders Summit scheduled for November 18 and 19, 2024 in Rio de Janeiro. He also conveyed President Lula's invitation to Nigeria to join the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. He explained that the initiative, based on the value of food security, is the main proposal of the Brazilian presidency at the G20 to eliminate extreme poverty by 2030. President Tinubu also received the letter of credence from Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria, Vice Admiral Seth Omama, retired. President Tinubu commended Ghana's active participation in ECOWAS and reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to strengthening relations with its West African ally. The High Commissioner, Omama, expressed Ghana's steadfast support to Nigeria's leadership of ECOWAS authority of head of states and government. The federal government has called for the strengthening of relations between Nigeria and the European Union, particularly in addressing malnutrition and other humanitarian challenges in the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima made the call when he received on a courtesy visit European Union delegation led by the outgoing EU ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Samuela Isopi, at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Excellency. The meeting started with the expression of Nigeria's appreciation for the European Union's support, noting there was a need for continued collaboration between the two partners. Noting Nigeria's strategic importance to the EU, Vice President Kashim Shettima said, Nigeria is the most populous nation on the continent of Africa and is projected to become the third most populous nation globally by 2050 after China and India. The Vice President appreciated the commitment and involvement of the European Union in some of the most important programs in Nigeria.
Thank you enough for your forthrightness, for your commitment. You have been around at some of the most epochal moments in Nigeria's political evolution. You were part of the process that midwifed the current transition. You were actively involved in signing the peace accord between the political parties prior to 2023 elections. You have been a vocal person, even in championing humanitarian cause in these two entities, and most importantly, you are a daughter of Africa.
The European Union ambassador to Nigeria reflected on her 3-year tenure in Nigeria, highlighting the progress and collaborations achieved, emphasizing the close relationship between the EU and Nigeria, particularly with the Office of the Vice President.
The European Union, as you know, is Nigeria's largest trading partner, is also Nigeria's top investor. I was telling the Vice President that we have over 200 private investments here in Nigeria, and European Union companies are investing in manufacturing, which means developing Nigerian industry.
The ambassador also noted the EU's role in Nigeria's economic development, expressing confidence in the future of EU-Nigeria relations with continued engagement and renewed determination from the EU to work with Nigeria. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, Nta News.
Meanwhile, 20 Nigerian students have been offered scholarships to study at European School of Management and Technology in Berlin, Germany. A statement by the media aide to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Al-Qasim Abdul Qadri, says Yusuf Tuga accepted the scholarship program when he was hosted to a special dinner organized in his honor by Lars Winhorst, a German entrepreneur and co-founder of Sapinda Group, an owner of the fashion company La Pala in Berlin, Germany. Tuga thanks Lars Winhorst for the gesture, and he says the scholarship will create an opportunity for shared learning and experiences in enhancing the skills of the beneficiaries needed for Nigeria's development drive. The Foreign Affairs Minister reciprocated the gesture by extending an invitation to the German partners to come and invest in Nigeria by highlighting the giant strides taken by President Bola Tinubu to reposition Nigeria and create an economic haven for foreign investors, as well as encourage that Nigeria holds enormous investment opportunities that includes the microeconomic reforms the Tinubu administration has embarked upon, particularly the removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit PMS and the unification of the exchange rate to boost the economy. Tuga also emphasizes the need for the global north to invest in infrastructural development in Africa and not to dwell on geopolitical considerations. The ESMT Berlin is a non-profit private institution of higher education founded in 2002 by 25 leading global companies, offers a variety of programs including master's, MBA, and PhD programs, as well as executive education. Issues of national concerns geared towards adequate policy, coordination and implementation to drive good governance for national development dominated discussions at the first meeting between Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, and his state counterparts in Abuja. Kenneth Nanim reports.
Regarded as the engine room of administration, secretaries of national and sub-national governments are saddled with critical responsibilities, especially of policy coordination and implementation for effective governance. On this note, there is high expectation of performance from them.
As Nigeria navigates a complex area of social, economic, environmental, and security challenges, it is imperative that could take clear, unified action across all levels of government.
From a secretary to the government of the Federation and the president of the Senate between 2000 and 2003, Onion Pius, in what seems more like an exposé, traced the constitutional provisions on the powers, roles, rights, as well as privileges of the SGF and the SSGs.
The office of SGF and SSG should be institutionalized or protected by law. The office of SGF is to serve as the repository or custodian of government records. That is to say, keep rules, regulations, reports, policies, programs, etc. of government.
Ministers of Finance and Budget and National Planning illustrate efforts by federal government to diversify the economy through increased revenue generation, direct foreign investment and expenditure control.
We have embarked on a move away from PMS to CNG so that Nigeria as a country can be energy competitive.
Rather than Nigeria looking to develop markets directly, we can just as easily subcontract with a country like Philippines that has a shortage of skilled labor relative to the demand for its export services.
The emphasis, however, is to equip secretaries to the state governments with the required strategies to explore innovative solutions to enhance policy coordination and implementation in their various states. Kenneth Nta, Nta News.
And elsewhere, the House of Representatives has threatened to shut down a mining site in Opela, Edo State, if the foreign miners fail to produce an approved license to operate. This was during an oversight visit by members of the House Committee on Solid Minerals to mining sites in Edo State. National Assembly correspondent Nta News24 reports.
Nigeria reportedly loses an estimated $9 billion annually to illegal mining activities across the length and breadth of the country. As part of efforts to salvage the losses for economic development, the House of Representatives has got the boots of members of its Committee on Solid Minerals on the ground to bring sanity to the mining sector. At this quarry in Okwela, Edo State, the lawmakers discovered that the operators who have been in business for years cannot produce an operational license.
Have equally given the zonal mines officer a marching order to make sure that these foreign nationals that are running this entity or whoever they are appear before the People's Parliament on Monday by 10 a.m. with all. And when I say all, with all their documents, including evidence of technical things of the amount of explosives they have used to evaluate the amount of aggregate they have gotten, have royalties up to date, are they paying their CDAs? They are not ready to give us this information, but I want to show Nigerians that this committee will not rest on its oars till we get what is due to the Nigerian people.
The committee also visited the mining sites of Boa cement manufacturers with a directive to the company to furnish Parliament with details of its operational costs and community development agreement to ascertain compliance.
Don't forget that these companies are not permanent, they cannot be here forever. For the time they are here, every solid mineral they take away from this community is not coming back to it again. You should be able to show commensurate return to this community.
The lawmakers conclude their oversight visit at the palace of the Okwela of Okwela, where they appeal to community leaders not to trade off full implementation of community development agreement with mining companies for repeatance. From Okwela, Edo State, Nta News.
And talking education, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, says there is no new policy on the minimum age of entry into tertiary institutions, rather a fortification of an existing one. The Minister was speaking during an engagement with leadership of the Congress of Nigerian University Academics. He says the federal government only seeks to sanitize and further strengthen the system, noting that the university system has become polarized with underage students, which sometimes makes the job more tasking for university workers. If you just joined us, this is the news at 10 on Nta News 24. Let's pause here for a break. Stay with us.
From the creeks of the Niger Delta to the breathtaking scenery of the plateau, in noonday and night time, we set out to bring to you captivating stories that evoke your emotions. For fascinating documentaries and reports on day-to-day issues with expert analysis, tune in to Nta News24, DSTV Channel 419, GoTV Channel 26, Star Times Channel 101 and 433, and Free TV Channel 703.
Thank you for being there. I'm talking health now. Federal government will convert and rename all neuropsychiatric hospitals across the country to specialist hospitals to integrate other medical care. Haruna Mohammed reports that the Minister of State, Health and Social Welfare, Tunji Alausa, stated this during a two-day official visit to federal health facilities in Kaduna State.
The minister's first port of call was the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital Kaduna, where he inaugurated the electronic health record system, among other projects. He was conducted around the facility by the managing director, interacting with residents on the facility on turning a new lease of life.
This is a hospital that is functioning. You can compare this hospital to any hospital in Western world.
Next is the 200-bed capacity National Eye Center Kaduna. The Minister of State inaugurated the diagnostic and laser units as well as the optical showroom. The minister also speaks on the issue of Dr. Ganiet Pakwala, kidnapped 8 months ago and still in captivity.
This one strike case is not what is going to solve it. We made a commitment to get Dr. Pakwala alive.
At the National Ear Care Kaduna, the minister commissioned various capital projects, including the oxygen plant.
We need to also give back to our country. This president is committed to expanding and improving our human capacity index, and that's what he's doing in every sector of the economy.
In all facilities visited, the minister illustrates the message of hope, a testament to the renewed hope agenda of providing quality health service and a good working environment for all. In Kaduna, I'm Haruna Mohammed, Nta News.
Thank you, Haruna. I'm talking business now. The Nigerian Communications Commission has announced September 14, 2024 as the final deadline for the ongoing National Identity Number and Subscriber Identity Module linkage exercise. Details with Adika Wanacharwa on Business News.
In a statement signed by the Nigerian Communications Commission's Director of Public Affairs, Ruben Moka, the regulator also announced that about 153 million SIMs have been successfully linked to NIN, leaving only 4% of mobile users yet to comply with the directive. The Commission warned that failure to do so will result in consequences, including the risk of having their mobile services disconnected. Meanwhile, the federal government has awarded the sum of 47 million naira to 32 innovators across the 6 geopolitical zones through the Presidential Standing Committee on Innovations and Inventions Program. The Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology disclosed that the grants range from 1 million to 5 million per beneficiary. According to the ministry, the program is to encourage Nigerians, especially those in the informal sector, who have viable technological ideas capable of positively impacting the populace and the economy. In another development, the Nigerian Port Authority says out of 70 million tons of annual West African freight from Antwerp, Nigeria accounts for over 6 million tons. That is about 35% of West African cargoes annually. This volume, when maintained, shows that Nigeria handles the largest part of the freight coming to the region. The managing director of NPA, Dr. Abubakar Dansoho, disclosed this when he received the ambassador of the Kingdom of Belgium to Nigeria. He expressed NPA's readiness to deepen bilateral ties to increase the efficiency of the nation's support and record growth in trade volumes between the two countries. With Business News, Alika Obanashi, Arua.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called for a strategic shift in the registration of significant life events, such as birth registration for every Nigerian child, for them to have a name and nationality recognized under the law. She made the call at the official launch of the Renewed Hope Initiative project to accelerate birth registration at scale in the country. State House correspondent Adeni Tayo reports.
Infants and little babies are unusual guests at the banquet hall of the presidential villa. But here they are, joined by stakeholders who are critical to ramping up birth registration in Nigeria, including traditional rulers, wives of state governors, local government administrators, and developing partners. The occasion, official launch of Renewed Hope Initiative commemorative birth registration, seeks to accelerate civil registration of children in the country by mobilizing political commitment and leadership for the cause. Despite achieving 68% completeness in birth registration of children under 5 years old in 2023, a situation where only 50.3% daily live birth of children are registered is unsatisfactory for Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu.
This is more than an administrative task. It provides the foundation of our social security. Our children, the treasure of our nation, should be guaranteed their rights and privileges from the onset. A well-functioning civil registration and vital statistics safeguards these rights and ensures no violation goes unnoticed.
While presenting the commemorative birth certificate to children at the ceremony, the First Lady also highlights the significance of the exercise for national planning, realization of sustainable development goals, and fundamental human rights of the Nigerian child.
Birth registration is vital. It is the child's legal proof of identity as a Nigerian, without which children will not be fully recognized by the government. They could miss out on government's provision on health care, education, and other social amenities. Without a birth certificate, children will be unable to prove their age, and this puts them at a great disadvantage. I therefore encourage all parents to register the birth of their children, obtain authentic birth certificates recognized by the government.
By protecting the right of every child through legal recognition, we are safeguarding them from exploitation, trafficking, and abuse.
To our esteemed state governors and your first ladies, your role is vital to implementing this initiative at the state level.
Together, we can ensure that every child is accounted for and given the identity they definitely deserve.
As traditional rulers, we are closer to our people.
For traditional rulers and other strategic partners, the launch is another positive step forward in their advocacy to scale up civil registration in the country. Live boot registration of children by National Population Commission is one of the highlights of the launch. From the banquet hall of the presidential villa, Adeni Taiwo, Nta News.
And talking security now, the Defense Headquarters is developing policies to promote gender inclusivity in the armed forces and ensure the protection of women during crisis. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports on the engagement at the second edition of the Defense Headquarters Annual Gender Conference.
Women constitute more than 110 million of Nigeria's population and form the nucleus of the family. Despite their importance, women are sometimes relegated in the society and most times vulnerable during crisis. This second edition of the Defense Headquarters Annual Gender Conference aims to mainstream women, peace and security agenda for enhanced operations in the armed forces of Nigeria.
Women bring unique perspectives and solutions to the table, contributing significantly to peacekeeping and conflict resolution. It is imperative that we harness these potentials within our own armed forces.
Today, we gather to acknowledge the vital role that women play in maintaining peace and security. We recognize that their contributions are not limited to the traditional gender roles.
And empower women and girls.
The conference will also address gender issues in national security, defense and promote an armed forces that is more gender responsive.
I am extremely pleased that the Nigerian woman now has been accorded the rights of place in a male-dominated career like the military.
The second edition of the Defense Headquarters Gender Magazine was made public at the event in Abuja. Ismail Musa, Nta News.
And still on issues affecting women, the Ministry of Women Affairs is collaborating with strategic partners in setting an agenda for female gender and other social development issues through inclusive reporting. This came to the fore during a media appraisal on gender mainstreaming, issues surrounding people with disabilities and common health challenges affecting women, and to achieve this objective, the MacArthur Foundation is playing a critical role to build delivery part in the implementation of the mandate.
Synergistic perspective to our work, bring to the table the voices of people who are usually forgotten in our society.
The conversation is not where it should be yet, and that's why the media itself needs to make these an agenda to ensuring that the government prioritizes gender issues.
The launch of the Story from Me website for persons with disability to tell the stories from a place of accountability rather than charity.
Minister who spoke on interventions urged for accountability and annual auditing to measure performance and results.
Be useful. Can it make an impact? That is why we have to focus on the new narratives.
Be able to tailor interventions that suit the needs of whatever population you might be addressing their challenges.
Commitment is to form a common front in containing gender-related crimes and giving voice to the voiceless through support and intervention. This is the news at 10 on Nta News24. Our second break beckons at this point. Stay with us. Thank you for being there. The federal government is concerned over issues of kidnapping and other security challenges confronting the country, and it is working hard to secure lives of citizens and ensure those abducted regain freedom. These were words of assurance from the Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha, to leadership of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, while appealing to the doctors to call on their ongoing 7 days warning strike. Joseph Olsen reports that the minister gave the assurance during an engagement with leaders of the union in Abuja.
Monday, 26th of August 2024, resident doctors deserted public hospitals across the country. The action has left many without adequate care in the hospitals as the doctors protest adoption of some of their colleagues by kidnappers.
He is committed
But the doctors are not alone, as the Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Unyejocha, shares President Bola Tinubu's concern in this engagement with leadership of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors.
And he's committed to protection of lives and property that he promised Nigerians. And so, in that vein, I plead with you people that work is ongoing, that please rescind the decision of continuing on this warning strike, because I know that as we speak, people who are not kidnapped are dying.
Based on this, we will definitely go back to our house and have a discussion with our members to see if anything will come out of that discussion. But for now, we've had a fruitful deliberation.
Representatives of the doctors describing the engagement as fruitful. The patients lying in the hospital can now look up with hope that full healthcare will resume soon for them to leave the hospital stronger. In Abuja, Joseph Olsen, NTA News.
The Nigerian Television Authority, in collaboration with the Chinese media group, are working on the production of a television series that will tell the Chinese story in Hausa language. This was at the launch of the project at the Chinese Cultural Center in Abuja. Ekene Ndulwe has more on this.
That signals the birth of the program Kwanumbarka in Hausa language, meaning to advance China with me. It is a co-production between NTA and CMG that will see the TV crew visiting various remarkable places in the People's Republic of China, with narrations in Hausa language by Nigerian presenters. For the Director General of NTA, Saliu Abdulhamid Dembos, represented by the General Manager NTA Hausa, the program is part of NTA's policy of promoting Nigerian languages.
The Nigerian Television Authority, the largest television network in Africa, will continue to collaborate with the international television networks to promote and foster global unity and peace.
The fluency of the CMG delegation in Hausa language demonstrated the impact of cultural exchanges between both countries.
They travel different places in China, and they experience different cultural, different works, and they meet different ethnic groups in China to show how Chinese get progress. So we make this TV show and we broadcast in NTA now.
I think film and television are most vivid form of telling good stories. So why don't we work together to tell good stories about China and Nigeria through co-production?
The partners say better understanding of cultures of both countries will open doors of opportunities to citizens. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
A good one there. Federal government has inaugurated a committee to investigate concerns raised by industry stakeholders over the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission's recent regulation on domestic crude oil supply obligations, particularly Section 109. Lydia Sampson has details.
The committee, chaired by Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ambassador Nicholas Ella, was set up in Abuja after a meeting between Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Oil, Henry Lukobiri, and representatives of the Oil Producers Trade Session and Independent Petroleum Producers Group. Briefing journalists after the closed-door meeting, Lukobiri emphasized that there is no disagreement among industry players, stressing that the goal is to ensure a seamless crude oil supply for domestic refining and boosting Nigeria's energy security and economic growth.
What we have resolved, is that there should be a small committee to be headed by the Permanent Secretary that will look at the matter, between Monday and Tuesday, and then report back to me, and then we can inform Nigeria and say, look, contrary to whatever opinions people may have, the oil industry is one. We are all committed to ensuring that we support local refining. We're also committed to ensuring that we create the best environment that is globally competitive to allow business operations in the oil and gas sector to continue. And that is the essence of government.
The committee is expected to convene between now and Monday to address concerns and find solutions for steady crude oil supply for local refining, specifically focusing on the implications of Section 109 of the regulation. The implementation of the domestic crude oil supply obligation is provided under Section 1092 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. The committee's findings and recommendations will provide a way forward for the industry, addressing challenges posed by the new PLC regulation, which focus on Section 109. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, Nta News.
On religious news, more than 70 groups across the 6 area councils in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, have benefited from the distribution of food items as palliatives from the federal government handed over by the Supreme Council of Sharia in Nigeria to the Committee of FCT Imams to ameliorate the socio-economic situation in the country. Dr. Alabi reports that the distribution took place at Fuad Lababidi Mosque in Abuja.
The federal government, after the 135th National Economic Council meeting, announced the release of a 180 billion naira palliative package of 5 billion naira and 180 trucks of rice each to states and the FCT to cushion the impact of the galloping food inflation in the country. Here at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, an all-inclusive steering committee was set up by the Committee of FCT Imams Initiative to supervise and ensure judicious distribution and accountability of the federal government's truckloads of rice and maize palliatives already received by the Supreme Council for Sharia in Nigeria, targeted at the vulnerables across the 6 area councils in the FCT.
As we are witnessing, many have already taken their own. They allocated each and to each accordingly, taking on to understand the burden of the activity of the organization, and inshallah all will reach to the beneficiary.
From the Fuad Lababidi Mosque, which is Zone 3 in Abuja, over 70 groups are already picking up their items for forward distribution to the downtrodden.
It is our hope that this will reach, inshallah, the hands of those who are needy, so as to reduce the pressure at the family levels.
I'm here to collect palliative sent to us. We really appreciate and we pray to Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue guiding our leaders right.
With the 3 trucks of parboiled rice and a maize of 3,600 bags each, stakeholders believe the public distribution system evolved to manage scarcity through sharing of food grains is far becoming an important part of government's policy for managing food economy in the country. In Abuja, Dr. Alabi, Nta News.
A commendable gesture there. The countdown begins for the 3rd Global Artificial Intelligence AI Gain Summit, set to take place in Riyadh from September 10 to 12 with a focus on enriching AI's global landscape. Dr. Alabi again reports that the event will host over 300 speakers and AI specialists from 100 countries, including Nigeria, convening at the King Abdulaziz International Convention Center.
It is the 3rd edition of the Global Artificial Intelligence Summit game that Saudi Arabia will be hosting in Riyadh between September 10 and 12, 2024. According to the Saudi Arabia's press attaché in Abuja, Nigeria, Mohammed El-Sahabi, the summit coming up under the auspices of the Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority, SDIA, will bring together AI leaders from around the world to explore pivotal themes such as generative AI, AI in urban life, ethical AI governance, AI in agriculture, and other key sectors. According to the SDIE president, Dr. Abdullah bin Sharaf Al-Ghamdi, the 3rd Global AI Summit is poised at the threshold of a new era where AI's transformative power will be harnessed to explore AI through the lens of now, next. once and never while examining the current state of AI, its future trajectory, and the ethical considerations necessary to ensure a desirable future. The summit, featuring over 300 speakers from 100 countries, including Nigeria, alongside global leaders, AI specialists, will include high-profile sessions, panel discussions, and workshops on various aspects of AI.
Our summit is an imperative of the G20 digital economy agenda, with its special on artificial intelligence.
Top executives from Silicon Valley, influential policymakers, and renowned AI researchers will lead discussions on the future of AI governance, ethical implications of AI, and international cooperation in harnessing AI's potential, with Saudi Prime Minister Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud as patron and chairman board of directors of SDIA.
The greatest success story in the 21st century is Saudi Arabia. This is the story of this century. You want to miss it or not? That's your call.
GAME 2024 is expected to serve as catalyst for global AI innovation, with opportunities for attendees to engage in over 120 interactive sessions, network with industry pioneers, and contribute to groundbreaking AI collaborations, as the summit will also witness the signing of agreements and announcements between SDIA and global AI tech giants, with Saudi Arabia pledging $40 billion investment in the AI sector. Talk by Alabi, Nta News.
This is the news at 10 on Nta News24. Here is a recap of our major stories. President Tinubu urges Brazilian ambassador to Nigeria to prioritize the establishment of direct flights between Nigeria and Brazil. Vice President Kashim Shettima seeks collaboration between Nigeria and European Union in addressing humanitarian challenges.
You have been a focal person, even in championing humanitarian cause.
House of Representatives threatens to shut down mining site in Edo over operating license.
That these foreign nationals that are running this entity, or whoever they are, appear before the People's Parliament.
Minister of State, Labour and Employment appeals to resident doctors to call off strike. Now, imagine the nightmare of a child, spouse or loved one disappearing without a trace. No explanation, no closure. This is the unsettling reality that's unfolding across the country, leaving many families grappling with fear and uncertainty. It's a pain reality that too many families are living through. In this special report, Thomas Obetere explores what can be done in such unimaginable situations.
The International Committee of the Red Cross revealed that the number of missing persons in Nigeria is becoming a source of public concern. Imagine a mother's voice echoing through the streets, desperately and frantically calling out for her missing child. Let's also picture families, their faces edged with worry about a missing spouse, hoping for a miracle that may never come. This is the painful reality that many families across Nigeria are living through.
They could not find the person to the extent they had to just go conduct a burial for the person without seeing the person up to now. So it was just the person went to work. He didn't come back that day. The second day, he was not back. Third day, fourth day. For 1 week, 1 month.
The thought of a loved one disappearing without a trace is a torment better imagined. It's a distressing reality that Christopher Dewo finds himself.
A young girl who was invited by a fellow young girl
to front as a girlfriend to one of the boyfriend in a party. Left home happily, and then was told that she would be paid 15,000. At the end of the day, unfortunately, the girl didn't return home. After about a couple of days, they found her body in a nearby forest.
It's a cycle of sleepless nights, endless searching, and relentless questions. Where did they go? Are they safe? Will they ever come back?
A 21-year-old woman who got missing from her workplace. Until date, she's still that they've not found her.
For others, the agony of uncertainty leaving them to grapple with fears of abduction, accidents, or worse.
He went home, he left his house that day to go for his normal business. But when he didn't come back home early, his family got worried because he passed the time he was supposed to come back. He now reported to the local police. But since he was working with an Uber company, they went to the company to find out his movement. He moved from Federal Shrine in Lagos, and the joint terminated in Ojota. When they got there, they now found his car. The side window was broken, and there was blood stains around it.
In Abuja, FCT Commissioner of Police Bernard Iwe acknowledges the gravity of the situation, but reassures residents that, thanks to the FCT Police Command's strict stance on crime, the number of missing persons cases remains relatively low.
It is very low in Abuja. Abuja had this news of missing person.
He emphasizes the ongoing commitment to keeping the city safe and secure. CPE urges the public to stay alert and courteous, but advises people to keep their loved ones informed of their whereabouts. Be careful with their choice of transportation and report any suspicious activity immediately. His message to criminals is 10. Stay away from Abuja or face the full consequences of the law.
If you don't have any business in the FCT, there is no need of you coming into Abuja. Because we have 4 working agendas to fight crime, the 4 working points, and we are acting it out. Many people have left the town, that's one of the points. Many people are in our cells. Many people are in prison yard. And many are already in the mortuary. That's the 4 points we use to fight crime. And our agenda is to use sledgehammer to kill a fly, so that the fly will not breathe tomorrow and come back to start making noise. So that is the system we use in fighting crime. And the 4 agenda will act it out without fear of favor, affection, or ill will. So that's what has given success to a lot of things. So people now fear to commit crime in FCT because we are going to trace you.
For those waiting for answers, the emotional toll is profound. The heartache of choosing between knowing the finality of loss and enduring a lifetime of uncertainty is a deep sorrow. It's a burden that no family should bear alone. In Abuja, Thomas Ubeteri, Nta News.
Quite sad. All right, let's take sports news now. Nigeria's the Tigers climbed 4 places in the latest FIBA ranking to 8th position and become the first African nation to be top 10 in the world. Under 20 Falconets touched down in Bogota, Colombia, ahead of the Under 20 Women's World Cup. Let's join our sports desk for details.
Nigeria's Tigers are now ranked in 8th position in the latest rankings released by the Federation of International Basketball Association (FIBA) on Thursday. Rena Wakama side moved up 4 places following their remarkable performance at the 2024 Olympic Games. The Tigers made history as the first African team, male or female, to be ranked in the top 10. Mali, Senegal, Mozambique and Cameroon complete the top 5 teams in Africa. In football, Super Eagles goalkeeper Sterling Nwabali has signed a new 3-year contract at South African Premier Soccer League club Chippa United. Chippa United also announced the goalie has been appointed the club's new captain. We are pleased to announce that Sterling Nwabali has signed an improved 3-year contract with Chippa United FC, reads a statement on the club's official website. Nwabali has made 32 league appearances for Chippa United. Meanwhile, Nigeria's under-20 girls, the Falconets, have taken up residence at their Windhad Hotel, Bogota, where the team will stay for their first 2 matches of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup Colombia 2024. After scoring 27 goals in a total of 8 premium games, the 2010 and 2014 runners-up arrived in high spirits and are looking forward to their first match of the tournament against Korea Republic on Monday, 2nd September. The Falconets have further group phase encounters against 3-time champions Germany and Venezuela on 4th September and 7th September, respectively.
On the foreign scene, Russian and Senegalese foreign ministers discuss development security in bilateral meeting. Details with Oyeyemi Ajayi.
Senegalese Foreign Minister Yassine Fall met our Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. During the bilateral meeting in Moscow, education, investments and energy were high in the agenda. The dire security situation in the Sahel was also discussed. During a joint press conference, Lavrov reiterated Russia's readiness to provide military support. And according to Russian news agency TASS, Yashin called for mutually beneficial cooperation in the sphere of mineral fertilizers and exchange of technologies. A Russian-Senegal business forum is set to take place in October.
And that concludes the news at 10 on Nta News 24. Thank you for watching. I am Nolin Ebel Ame. See you at the top of the hour for the news update.